Okay, let's unpack this. We're looking at a really fascinating source today. It's like a blueprint almost, a kind of modern manifesto for, well, radical self-belief, especially around wealth.
It really is. Less like dry philosophy and more like a personal declaration of opulence almost.
Exactly. We've been digging into this document, and it's pretty much wall-to-wall present tense statements. I am this, I am that. It treats the self like the absolute engine for creating reality.
Yeah, it's not passive wishing at all. It feels very active, very intentional, like constructing something with words.
Totally. And the core tool is just those two little words, I am, but used relentlessly. Honestly, reading it straight through can feel a bit intense, maybe even overwhelming.
Definitely. The sheer volume of declarations about worthiness, fortune, luxury, it's a lot.
So, our mission today is really to distill this whole system. We want to understand what exactly is being claimed here, and maybe more importantly, how this kind of language is supposed to work, psychologically speaking.
hmm
How does it function as a tool for attracting? Well, what the source calls abundance.
Well, the first thing that jumps out is that it's deeply psychological right from the start. What's really interesting is it doesn't start with getting money. It starts with transforming your identity first, your self-worth.
Ah, okay. So you have to be wealthy internally before you see it externally.
Precisely. It demands this internal declaration of worthiness almost immediately. It's like laying a foundation. The idea seems to be, you can't really attract something if deep down you feel you don't deserve it.
That makes sense. It's sort of like cognitive reframing, but really dialed up and focused on finance, on glamour.
Yeah, and they don't really dwell on the struggle for worthiness. They just claim it.
Right. We saw phrases like, I am worthy of becoming a magnet for riches and success. That's pretty direct.
And some are really evocative, like, I am worthy of gold, glamour, and grace. It links personal quality directly to the material desire.
And worthy of five-star treatment in every area of life. It's not shy.
Not at all. But underneath all that desire for, the good stuff, there's a really powerful shift in control. You see these lines over and over. I am the architect of my fortunate life, and I am in control of my financial destiny.
So it's fundamentally about agency. You're not just waiting for luck, you're building your own fortune.
Exactly. That's the core mindset being established. You're the master builder, not a passive observer.
And that connects to that metaphor you sometimes see, the self-upgrade.
Mhm.
It's not about fixing flaws, it's more like stepping into a version of yourself that already exists. The text actually says, I am stepping into the luxurious version of me.
Right. So the affirmations aren't really about becoming something in the future.
Yeah.
They're framed as merging with who you already are on some level, that wealthy, capable, deserving version.
Okay, so if the identity, this worthy architect self, is the foundation, where does the actual fortune come from, according to this model? How does it physically or metaphysically arrive?
Yeah, that brings us to the next big theme. Let's call it the physics of flow.
The physics of flow. Okay, I like that. This is where it gets really interesting conceptually, because the source suggests wealth isn't primarily earned, like through sheer grind and effort, but it's attracted through something called energetic alignment.
Right. And we probably need to unpack energetic alignment a bit. Psychologically, you could see it as a metaphor for intense mental focus, maybe?
How so?
Well, when you claim you're aligned with the frequency of wealth, it's like you're instructing your mind to filter out the noise, the doubt, the fear, the scarcity thinking.
Ah, okay. So you tune out the static and tune into a specific signal, like opportunity, ease, abundance.
Kind of. So when you read affirmations like, I am attracting money effortlessly and easily,
Yeah.
it's maybe less about literal magic and more about demanding that your mind stop resisting, stop putting up internal roadblocks.
So it clears the path for recognizing or allowing opportunities.
That seems to be the implication. It allows the mind to focus purely on possibility.
You see that imagery woven throughout, don't you? The rivers of fortune flowing toward me, or being in flow with the universe's abundant energy.
Beautiful metaphors, yeah. And they imply the resources are already out there, abundant. The issue isn't supply, it's the recipient's ability to, well, receive.
It shifts the posture, doesn't it? From constantly chasing and grabbing to being open and receptive, like becoming a container for wealth rather than the person desperately trying to build the container and fill it.
Well put. You become the container, not the contractor. And often that source of the flow is described as universal or even divine.
Right, like divinely guided to wealth and success.
Exactly. Or being blessed with continuous streams of unexpected abundance.
And believing that presumably takes some pressure off. If it's divinely guided, you don't have to control every single variable yourself.
That seems to be the psychological benefit. It introduces a sense of higher support, maybe turning luck from something random you hope for into a predictable result of staying aligned or tuned in.
Okay, but here's where I see a potential tension, maybe a paradox. If wealth just flows effortlessly and it's divinely guided, why does the document also talk so much about practical competence, about actually managing money well?
Ah, yes. That's a crucial point because this model, for all its focus on flow and attraction, doesn't completely detach from practical reality. It can't.
So the abstract meets the real world.
Exactly. The language of flow is like the emotional fuel, the accelerator.
Yeah.
But then you get to what we might call pillar 3.1, wealth management and control. This is the grounding, the structural integrity.
Okay, so the practical affirmations are like the grounding wire for all the high frequency energy stuff.
That's a great way to put it. They're necessary. You see very concrete statements here.
Like, I am capable of creating multiple streams of income. That's not passive attraction, that's active creation.
Right, or the commitment to skill. I am making smart and informed financial decisions, and I am financially confident and independent.
So the abundance mindset isn't meant to replace financial discipline or skill.
No, it seems intended to amplify it. It's the confidence boost paired with the required competence. You need both.
And the goal articulated here is moving beyond struggle, right? The text says money is no longer a limitation. It's about that shift from scarcity to skillful control and freedom,
Precisely. From surviving to actively thriving, using that control.
which then leads naturally into the next part, the expression of that success, what we call Pillar 3.2, luxury and lifestyle. This is where it moves beyond just security or freedom and really leans into enjoyment, opulence even.
Yeah, this is the payoff phase, described in very sensory terms. It's about making the success feel undeniably real.
Creating a life that feels like a five-star experience, that's pretty specific.
Very. And living in a sanctuary of luxury, deserving exquisite clothes, homes, and travel. It paints a vivid mental picture.
It seems designed to anchor that feeling the source calls a high-vibe, luxurious lifestyle into tangible things you can see and touch.
Exactly. It reinforces the idea that this level of quality, this elegance and peace and prosperity, isn't just a fantasy. It's the natural state for someone who's truly aligned and deserving.
Okay. And then there's the third pillar, which feels very relevant today, entrepreneurial dominance.
Yes, because for many people, pursuing this kind of wealth, it's tied directly to building a business, to leadership.
Right. And the text doesn't treat business success as separate from manifestation. It frames entrepreneurship itself as an act of manifestation.
It really does. It's like the external proof of the internal mastery we talked about earlier.
You see statements like, I am a successful entrepreneur and I'm a visionary leader and smart decision maker.
These aren't just about personal bank accounts. They're claims about influencing markets, about leading teams, about making things happen on a larger scale.
So the self becomes a creator of value, of economic systems, not just someone playing within the existing ones.
That's the feeling. And the success is almost framed as inevitable because the premise is I am constantly creating value for my audience and clients. It links success directly to ethical contribution.
Interesting. So after claiming mastery over self, over the flow of fortune, over practical management, lifestyle, and even the market, where does it go from there? What's the ultimate point of all this wealth, according to the source?
Yeah, that's a really important question. It leads to the final section, which tries to weave all this material ambition into a kind of spiritual framework.
Because you could read all those claims for luxury and dominance and wonder. Is it just about accumulation? Is there an end goal?
Right. And this final layer seems designed to provide that higher purpose and maybe grant moral permission for seeking extreme wealth.
How does it do that?
By explicitly stating things like, I deserve to be both spiritual and rich. It tackles that old, perceived conflict head on.
The idea that you have to choose between being virtuous and being wealthy.
Exactly. It reframes wealth itself, not as inherently greedy, but as a form of sacred energy, something to be stewarded.
Ah, so it's meant to be used, shared.
That's the claim. We see lines like, I'm using my wealth to uplift myself and others, and I share my prosperity with others.
So personal wealth gets linked to a larger mission, like my financial growth supports my soul's mission.
Precisely. It connects the individual's journey to some form of service or contribution.
And psychologically, that probably helps release any lingering guilt or shame someone might feel about having or wanting a lot of money.
I think that's a key function. It talks about releasing shame, fear, or guilt around having money, so you can receive it in sacred balance. Money becomes a tool for good, flowing through the person to impact the world.
Which in turn probably prevents self-sabotage that might come from feeling conflicted about being rich.
Very likely, it provides a kind of ethical framework that supports, rather than undermines, the accumulation of wealth described earlier.
Okay. So putting it all together, what does this deep dive tell us? What have we actually unpacked here?
Well, we've mapped out a pretty sophisticated psychological blueprint, haven't we?
It seems like it. It starts with this radical claim of inherent self-worth.
Right. Then moves into this mechanism of attracting wealth through flow and alignment,
Grounded by the need for actual competence and control in managing finances.
which then manifests in tangible ways: luxury, lifestyle, business success.
And finally, it anchors all that material gain in a sense of spiritual purpose and service.
Yeah. It paints this picture where massive success isn't something you desperately chase, but an almost inevitable outcome of achieving a certain internal state of being.
An internal state claimed in the present tense.
And that present tense is really the linchpin, isn't it? Think about the psychological weight of that. Saying, I will be financially free, keeps it in the future. There's still a gap. There's room for doubt.
But saying, I am financially free,
Right now,
mm,
that forces a kind of cognitive reckoning. It eliminates the distance. The mind, faced with that present tense declaration, has to start generating the thoughts, the feelings, maybe even the behaviors that align with that claimed reality today.
it demands immediate consistency.
Exactly. It's the ultimate commitment to that radical self-belief. So maybe the provocative thought for you listening is this. If there's a gap between your current reality and where you ultimately want to be, what does claiming the present tense version of that desired state, I am that now, what does that demand from you in terms of mindset, focus, and maybe even action right here, right now?